Finance Association of XIM, I, Priya Porwal.
And I, Sunil Bhagi.
Welcome you all to the Budget Conclave 2024, sponsored by PNB Cuttack Circle.
Presented in Parliament every year, the budget development, reaching the last mile, infrastructure and investment, unleashing the potential, green growth, youth power and financial sector that will guide India's vision during Amrit Amrit refers to the next 25 years up to 2047, leading to the centenary of India's independence. The Union Budget 24-25 prioritized Viksit Bharat by focusing on agriculture, infrastructure, youth employment, and MSME support. It aimed for inclusive growth through increased government spending, tax reliefs, and promotion of digital technologies. The budget also emphasized rural development and women's empowerment.
We now call on Mr. Mesh Rajan and our speakers, Sri Tarun Agrawal, Mr. Gyana Mohanty, and Mr. Pradyumna Chaudhary to come up on stage and light the lamp. Before we call our guests to share their thoughts, I would like to apprise the audience with the flow of the event. First, we will present students' view of the budget. Then, we will introduce all of our speakers, following which we would like the speakers to improve our understanding by sharing their thoughts. After which, the floor will be open for a Q&A session. We will conclude with a felicitation ceremony and a vote of thanks. We request you all to maintain decorum throughout the session, ask relevant questions, and keep the session interactive.
Today, we are here to talk about the Indian Union Budget 24-25. This budget is like a financial roadmap for our country, showing us where we are heading and what's important for our growth and well-being. So let's break it down. The first point is economic context and global outlook. The world economy is a bit shaky right now, with high prices, political issues, and ups and downs. Despite this, India is set to grow by 6.5% in the coming year. This is because our government is keeping inflation in check, which means the price won't rise too quickly. This helps our economy stay stable, boosts customer confidence, and creates a good environment for business.
Next, we move on to the budget priorities. The first one is agriculture sector. The budget increased the agriculture spending to 1.52 lakh crores and rural spending to 2.66 lakh crores. The plan includes enhancing agricultural research, releasing new crop varieties, and promoting natural farming. It aims to boost pulses and oilseed self-sufficiency. This could really boost farmers' income and reduce our dependency on imports. However, transitioning to natural farming will require investment and training for farmers, which will be challenging but worthwhile.
Now we move on to employment and skilling. Prime Minister's package of 5 schemes and initiative to facilitate employment, skilling and other opportunities for 4.1 crore youth over a 5-year period with a single outlay of 2 lakh crores. This year, the government has made a provision of 1.4 lakh crore for education, employment and skilling. These initiatives could create many job opportunities, especially in manufacturing and IT. The real challenge will be in ensuring these programs reach marginalized groups and create an inclusive workforce.
Next comes the manufacturing and service sector. The budget allocates 22,138 crore for the MSME sector with a new credit guarantee scheme, enhancement of the Mudra loan scheme, and investments in the e-commerce export hubs. Small businesses are crucial for our economy. Stimulating innovation and boosting exports can drive growth, but accessibility to funds and support mechanism is the key.
Next, we move on to infrastructure and urban development. The budget has an ambitious allocation of 1.5 lakh crore for long-term interest-free loans to support states in infrastructure projects and 10 lakh crore for urban development under PM Awas Yojana. Infrastructure is essential for economic growth, improvement connectivity, and urban efficiency can transform our cities and towns. However, implementation delays and budget overruns can be issues, so planning is crucial.
Next comes one of the most important sections, that is the education sector. The introduction of e-vouchers for 1 lakh students to secure loans up to 10 lakh for their higher education is a significant initiative. Making higher education more accessible can alleviate financial burdens on students and democratize education, aligning with our vision of an educated and empowered youth.
Now we move on to financial allocations. The budget's total expenditure is at 48.2 lakh crore, with a notable increase in capital expenditure to 11.11 lakh crore, which is 3.4% of the GDP. Higher capital expenditure can drive economic growth to infrastructure development. Revised tax slabs can boost disposable income and consumption, stimulating economic activity. However, fiscal discipline is important, and the government's revised fiscal deficit projection to 4.9% of GDP for 24-25 shows a commitment to managing finances prudently.
Next, we move on to the taxation scheme. The revised income tax slab and increased standard deduction to 75,000 will benefit many taxpayers. However, the increased capital gain rates may offset some of these benefits, and the removal of indexation benefits may also offset some of these benefits. While tax benefits provide immediate relief, the increased capital gain may impact investment behavior. Balancing these aspects is crucial for maintaining investor confidence and economic stability.
So the conclusion is, the Indian Union Budget 24-25 aims to foster economic growth, social welfare, and sustainable development. It addresses critical areas such as agriculture, employment, infrastructure, and social justice with a clear focus on inclusivity and sustainability. The budget's vision and targeted allocations promise to create jobs, uplift the poor, and build a stronger economic foundation. However, effective implementation and ensuring inclusivity remain challenges that we must address head on. Thank you for your attention.
Now, moving forward, XIM is honored and privileged to host the distinguished panel for the evening. The diversity of the expertise will ensure that we, the inspiring managers of tomorrow, get a final and polished view of the union budget. With over 4 years of experience in audit and taxation, Tarun Sir is a chartered accountant currently serving as an assurance senior at EY India LLP. Possessing a strong focus on banking and capital market sectors, he delivers high-quality audit and assurance services to a diverse client base. Sir's expertise includes leading and executing statutory audits for the US registered clients, including a prominent US bank. He has honed skills in analytical thinking, problem solving, and communication while contributing to the team's success in US GAAP audits, fraud testing, and financial statement reviews. Driven by a passion for continuous learning, Sir is committed to professional growth and delivering exceptional values to clients and the organization. Sir, we welcome you to the Budget Conclave 2024.
Now we have Mr. Gyana Ranjan Mohanty, a 1980 MEC graduate from MIT Rourkela, has a distinguished career in engineering and entrepreneurship. After brief stints with the Indian Navy, Merchant Navy, and public sector giants like SAIL and Indian Oil, he co-founded Three Engineers and Builders Limited, which became an industry leader in construction. In 2006, he founded Corrosion Protection Private Limited in Jagatpur, focusing on maintaining critical infrastructure. He aimed for Corrosion Limited to contribute significantly to aerospace and defense technology by 2030, expanding into railroads, oil and gas, steel and other sectors supported by favorable government policies.
Now, let us welcome C. Tarun sir to help us understand the impact this budget will have on our economy.
Good afternoon. Distinguished my panelist, Mr. Mahanti, WTC ma'am, and students. First of all, the introduction by mistake, I think it is not mine. So by mistake, it is immediately. I'm not an audit expert. I'm majorly work in taxation, direct and indirect taxes. So eventually today MSc Mr. Mahanti is here. So I will be talking about the part of revenue in the form of taxes coming to the kitty and utilization of that fund in different sectors. I think Mr. Mahanti will take care of more of how that money goes and how implemented that schemes and the flaws in their schemes, specifically MSME and different sectors. Regarding taxation, the budget normally brings amendments. So my area is very limited. I will not much time in that because the question answer will be more relevant for it because taxation law brings many complexities into the understanding of that. So 2-3 aspects which taxation impact the economy I will bring. One is, let's talk about capital gain tax. Just for sake of understanding, I will request all of you, can anybody, you people are clear about what is capital gain and what is income tax? Anybody can just elaborate. Okay. There is the Income Tax Act which tax the income, and there is a specific chapter in that which brings capital gain tax. It differs from normal income tax because capital gain is normally linked to a capital asset. When somebody is selling that asset, be it shares or mutual fund or capital assets like land, building, furniture, fixtures, building, car, anything, which is a capital assets having a long-term view. The period is more than 1 year. It's not expenses. It's a creation of assets and depreciation will be going on with a period of time. But in shares, it's also covered with assets here. So these taxations always gives a different incentive because a person will invest in long-term assets. The economy boosts by that investment, like infrastructure, like housing, like long-term capital assets, like long-term machineries purchases. These are boost the economy regularly, 5 years, 3 years, 4 years. So government wants to incentivize those capital gains. So what happens is that capital gain they come with two ways. One is long term, one is short term. Why I am saying this will be the last budget where this understanding of long term will be more relaxed. Earlier the long term understanding was a longer. But the 2-3 words you have heard about indexation. That is gone. Long term assets for 3 years, 2 years, that is gone. So what exactly that and how it impacted to those day-to-day finance? Coming to shares, they normally say is it listed or not listed. Like normal private limited companies which shares are not listed in the exchange, that is called not listed shares. And those listed in stock exchanges like BSE or NSE, that is called listed shares. So listed shares, if somebody holds for 1 year, and if he sold after 1 year, then it is called long term. Before that, it is called short term. Until the time period was 1 year, that is remained there. So that tax rate from 10% of short term is coming to 15% now. What this objective is that the volatility of the market and the short term transactions they don't want to encourage. They want investment in long term. So that is why they tax 10% to 15%. Similarly, in long term, they tax from 10% to 12.5% because everybody is making money. So government also let's have some part of it because whenever there is an income in a particular sector, the taxman always look into that and bring some more percentage out of it. So they take 2.5%. So matter is not end stage. They bring a new thing, which is after 30 years this again come. Earlier when somebody is purchasing not shares but any assets like land, buildings, they are long-term assets and they give on economic value. Suppose on 2001 an asset is 100 rupees. So they index it to 3 times. Today it will be being cost is 300 rupees. 3 times. And suppose today there somebody is selling 400 rupees. So his capital gain is not 100 minus 400 but 300 minus 400. So 100 rupees is capital. It was the earlier law through indexing. So apart from shares, the rest is was taken as a non-shares, which is a long-term capital asset with the indexation. So this budget what will come. And that time, those assets which not shares, for making them long term, there is a 36 months holding period. If a land and building is hold for 36 months, then after it become a long term. So what they do, that 3 years they reduce to 2 years. Now every asset after 2 years become long term. Any listed shares after 1 year become long term. Tax rate, they have been 12.5% for everybody. Now think about a sector like real estate sector. In real estate sector, the huge amount of money is invested and not liquidated because people are holding money for 3 years because after 3 years it becomes long term. So if somebody is purchasing a flat today and he wants to dispose of for a better opportunity, he is not selling it within 3 years. Now they make it to 2 years. So the rotation of money will be faster. We are getting a point. So how the economy is moving through this tax incentive and the timing of the tax. So this making it 2 years. So 1 year more period for the economy to roll out. People will start buying, selling will be higher. But the tax rate which was 20% in capital gain with indexation. Now it is 12.5% without indexation. And one will say there is a law, and one will say there is a gain. Interestingly, government is also looking into another aspect of it. If real estate is buying selling is higher for a 10 years period, a person will approximately do 3 times transactions, 3 years, 3 years, 3 years, 1 year's time will be there. So in 10 years you will do 3 transactions. But now 2 years. So you will make 4 transactions. Yes or no? Yes. So where the benefit is, the stamp duty. That is India. Because once the purchase sale we are doing, each time the stamp duty is here. So think about where the heat is going. Then many construction, under construction properties, people invest. And they exit at the time of construction completed to make some profit. There are many properties which is not being sold because they are waiting for 3 years. Now it's 2 years. So you find that there is a much more liquidity in the real estate market. That is one of the examples. Second thing, you have gone to a point that custom duty they have reduced in gold. Yes? My apprehension is gold sovereign bond have been issued 10 years back, which is to be matured in this year. And this money will be paid by the government. If the custom duty of import of gold reduced, what will impact to the gold price? Reduced. So to that extent, for redeeming that gold bond, government have to pay. Yes. Interesting. I'm not going to read one by one provisions. Then government is moving to one majority part in income taxes, minimizing litigation and appeal. For that, we can use scheme which have not been declared the entire details of that. That is taxation benefit on Vivad scheme. People can settle down their disputes. That is a welcoming thing in this income tax. And second is, many, around 4 or 5 years back, the income tax department have completely changed into faceless assessment and faceless appeal. You need to say, there is no judge, you will not need to face anybody. Everything is through document. What happens? There is a huge quantity of disputes are pending because of that faceless assessment and faceless appeal. So what this provision this time brings, that they make a specific power to the appeal authority to set aside those orders so that it can low down the demands, that amount of disputes available in income tax. And they bring this Vivad scheme to resolve many disputes through settlements. This is a welcoming approach. Another thing is that they bring TDS provisions. We know what TDS, income tax TDS, tax withholding. This tax withholding is for revenue generation or for audit trail. My question is, income tax TDS, in the eyes of the tax department, is it for revenue generation or is it for audit trail? That in that state they have moved ahead. They have reduced the tax rates. For online franchises, they have 1%, 0.1% they reduced. Many tax rates which were earlier 5%, they bring to 2%. Because now system is mapping those informations which is under TDS. Another, this TDS provisions they have done, that when there is a real estate transaction of 50 lakhs, if people are interested in tax money? No. Yes. What earlier happens, when somebody is buying, selling a property 50 lakhs and above, the seller will not take the entire payment. One part of this payment is withheld by the buyer. And buyer deposits that amount to the income tax department. So that the department will be able to know that 50 lakhs of transactions have been happened and that person is engaged in 50 lakhs of proceeds of the sale. So that to tax that person, right? What people will start doing is bifurcating that amount. Suppose a person is selling a property of say 75 lakhs for 80 lakhs. So they are selling to two persons, husband, wife, or two brothers, 40 lakhs each. So there is no requirement of that. And 40 trade is not required. So this time they bring. If the value of the property is 80 lakhs, even if it is individual 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs, doesn't matter. You have to deduct TDS and file the details to the department. One of the examples is having many changes are there. Now coming to how much time I have? It's now 6. 10 minutes? Okay. Absolute time? Okay. Are you making sense till now? I'm not going to dip by one. I'm just putting you that's the story of that. The GST takes 7 years completed. And in these 7 years, they couldn't able to implement the way it was envisaged in 2017. Due to that, a huge amount of litigation, dispute among the taxpayers and the department of lobby. Recently, you have seen a most sought after news 32,000 crore fine processes. So, there is in GST, when there is a dispute happens, there is first is somebody do the assessment. Assessment means the tax demand stabilize this much of amount to be paid by the taxpayer or assessor. Then there is an appeal. Somebody is not agree with that order, he has to file an appeal. The next authority, and then if he is not agree with that, he has to go to the tribunal. That is called GST tribunal. The GST tribunal after 7 years yet not formed. So the difficulty, because if people are all into going to industry, maybe next year or after 2 years or maybe after 1 year. So each industry is facing this problem. So this time is not yet formed. We are planning maybe in October or maybe December it will be formed. So huge amount of this disputes because of non-implementation of IT in the GST, the process, the systems which are going to be given in the law. They couldn't implement in electric kind of those things. So to mitigate this dispute, they bring out a scheme in this budget. And in the budget, this what the scheme they have said. Like whatever demands in 2020, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20. Anybody who pays the taxes, the interest and penalty not to be paid. Now think about those people who have paid honestly. That is not going to be refunded. So whoever litigation pending, they can pay and close that cases. That is one easy part. Second is, in taxation law, because they are going to represent many companies and maybe people are into finance or maybe accounting part or into taxation. Compliances in law is very, very important. And the compliances in law always time bound. In GST, the most crucial aspect is input tax credit. That is called ITC. So this provision ITC was earlier also in the excise on ad revenue and service tax. This is the different thing. So whenever this input tax credit means when somebody has to pay tax, because I think majority people who all know, or maybe for just this purpose I am just elaborating, that if somebody has to pay 100 rupees tax and he has purchased a goods or services which he have paid at 50 rupees, so 60 rupees he has paid. So you will pay the 60 rupees when he paying 100 rupees. So he will pay from bank 40 rupees and 60 rupees he will adjust. That adjustment of that tax is called input tax credit. And this input tax credit is always a revenue negative because this is already been collected earlier. And at this stage, it is a revenue neutral, not a revenue negative. So the law kind of always look into to make law to check this input tax credit and also make many provisions to make this limited. So one of the condition is to what time you can utilize or you can use this ITC or you can claim this ITC. For example, there is a law of limitation. For example, if there is a dispute, a normal dispute, after some period you cannot challenge in the court of law. You have to file this case early possible. Because otherwise somebody will remember, sir, 50 years back, my dispute was there, now I want to file the case. The court said it is time bar. So there is time limits in the law. Similarly, in input tax credit, they have also placed a time that till that time you can claim that amount. After that, you cannot claim that amount. So similarly, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, and 2021, 4 years, people have, due to knowledge of the law or due to technicalities, they forget or not possible for them to claim that input tax credit. They have the right to claim, but they have not claimed in time. And claiming in time means filing their online returns, there they have to claim, see this much of ITC I have to claim. So they forget that, they could have to claim it. So that is forgotten. And these demands, people are challenging the matter. This is a difficulty on our part. We have not deliberately done doing it, but it was by mistake. But because the law was there, after this particular period, for example, for the financial 17-18, the time was March 2019. After that, you cannot claim. For 18-19, the time was November 2019. After that, you cannot. For 19-20 financial year, time is November 2020. After that, you cannot. In between, Corona period was there. So there are many people who lack this opportunity to claim the input tax credit. So this year they have waived that anybody who have not claimed or claimed late up to 2021 of all the 4 years, they can take the benefit even if claimed late. But unfortunately, today we are able to know that if you have claimed, even if it is time bar, today it is rectified. But if today I am able to know that was time we are not having law, we are only thinking of challenging or thinking of claiming it, it is gone. So this is a twist in that if somebody is left over and doesn't have wisdom or doesn't have a think of or take a chance to claim it, it is gone. But if somebody has taken a chance, he will. So these two new things for one-time dispute settlement they have brought. The reason is, in this time which is coming in October and December, government wants to close down these old cases. Otherwise, in Odisha itself, around 55,000 cases are pending. Think about one tribunal in Odisha starts forming. So the day one, the cases will find 55,000 and accumulated more cases in the next year. So we are moving into new law, and at the same time we are moving into a bunch of new kind of litigation and a bunch of new kind of exit of litigation by bringing new schemes like income tax scheme and now this GST 2 schemes. The student related schemes are really increasing because one of our friend already spoken out regarding this scheme of interns sponsorship, first employment sponsorship from the government. My friend will elaborate how practically is going to bring light into that, which is directly linked to all your people because you go to industry, so that is the incentive to the industry. One is CSR activity, which company is obliged to invest a particular percentage of profit for CSR activities. This time they say this kind of activity also part of CSR activity. You can fund your own CSR activity to this venture of your own new interns or new employment. That is a welcome thing because this CSR activities fund normally used in a different manner. At least this will be in a directly used by the company in a right manner. That is a welcoming thing. One minute, I have some. Capital will have covered. That will be the assessment of the can be differences between TDS and TCS? say I'm not coming here for a lecture. Only I'm going to interact with that. It it will help you to go through that more provision in the budget. TDS, TDS is tax deducted at source, and TCS is collection at source. Any quick example? Anybody randomly purchase new car more than 10 lakhs? Will you purchase a car more than 10 lakhs? You have to also pay TCS. In TDS, what happens? The payment received is less by deduction. Yes or no? And in TCS, the payment is paid more. Getting it? No. I'm a professional. I raise an invoice of 1 lakh rupees. So when somebody is paying me 1 lakh rupees, he will deduct 5% as a TDS, and he is paying me 95,000 rupees. Right? I am the same professional. I am the service provider. So I am getting the payment. Now I am going to purchase a car. Car is 20 lakhs. Now I am buyer and the dealer is seller. So out of 20 lakhs, he will not release the vehicle. 20 lakhs plus certain percentage, say 20,000 rupees. He will take from me 20 lakh 20,000 rupees. So that 20,000 rupees is a collection extra. So that is called TCS. So why this is required? To have the list of the persons from the dealership who purchased car, luxury item more than 10 lakhs. In TDS this time they have bring any luxury item more than 10 lakhs, not only car, any other thing. They will specify the list of things like gold ornaments, gold watches, luxury vehicles. That is also coming in the vehicle, but any other item which is people are using specs of 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs. So whatever, even suits, dress, shoes. So these are items which again come under the same 10 lakhs club. Whenever it is purchased, another TCS amount to be paid. So that the exchequer is able to know who is buying what and whether that person have paid the taxes or not. And coming to and very interesting thing, might not be a bit complicated. That is a it's I don't know how this match the entire timing. The royalty is a tax or royalty is a service. That matter is disputed in the Supreme Court. It is pending for a number of years. And just 2 weeks back, this case comes to finality. And the law says that the verdict is that the royalty is a tax, is a service, and taxes to be paid. So these taxes is going to be huge amount. And you can understand that a mining company or a manufacturing company who have not paid it, it can reach to 2 times or 3 times of its current turnover. For example, a company have a turnover of 2,000 crore. Its liability of this royalty will be 4,000 crores. What they have bring this time in GST law, they make a provision that you can pay these taxes and get a credit. So you can understand that entire this tax system and the business system are same, because I am talking about the revenue side. जितना मुझे collection करना है, जितना कम dispute करना है, whenever that taxes is coming, people will be in pain. So they will put another litigation. So I have to somehow manage them to settle that amount and make that money into mine. Otherwise, we will dispute. Once something is disputed, that money is not coming to the problem. So जब आप किसी commercial decision में जाएंगे, when you find there is a dispute, the money is not coming in the court. So what will you settle down? चलो भाई ठीक है, discount something and pay the money. So today I will get the money, I will use my business. Dispute में क्या मिलेगा? So government is also thinking in that way. So they have the bigger business. Welcome, sir.
Sure, thank you.
My friends, I have talked about certain points which I bring before you, not point by point, but more in a investigative way that how these provisions have been made and what the basic circumstances on the basis of what these amendments have been made. So with this, I am. Any other questions in tax related, it's GST or it's income tax? I'm ready to try my best to bring light on that particular issue. My co-speaker is coming. So in between, one part is this budget also having this GST provisions which I have discussed. The GST provision is not at all a center subject. It is also a state subject. In fact, it is a joint subject. So whenever this budget brings the provisions of GST, it doesn't make law immediately because it's still remain as a proposal. Even if it is passed in a central government as a one act that is called central GST, so another state, all the states also needs to pass that law. Till that time, because each state have a state GST act, each union territory have a union territory act, and which are replicate of each other. So unless and until all state GST, all union territory, including central GST, pass same law, that's the same book. You are not able to differentiate whether it is a state GST act or a central GST act. It's just a mirror, some difference, but majorly mirror. But unless and until all acts are passed, it can be implemented. So it takes some time. The provisions which we discussed today in 53 GST Council have recently came. That time many things have came. So GST Council once taking decision, it's a policy which circulated among the stakeholders. After the GST Council, they bring the law, like in Parliament, they bring this GST Amendment Act, which is part of the budget. But state also going to pass all this. After passing of this, they issue a notification of date of implementation. So I am just taking 2 minutes. So my GST law का implementations का schedule is क्या है? It is when you people go to industry. Listening to GST Council meeting agendas is nothing. Number one, because it is still a policy. It is not. Then making the budget, which I have discussed now, it is still a proposal because it is a draft law. It cannot be acted. Even if it is act, it cannot be implemented because the act to be implemented need to be notified, and notification cannot be possible unless all the state acts have been passed simultaneously. So once all state acts have been passed on this line, then notification has been issued for its implementation, and the respective rules have been made how to implement that law. With the clarification that how it is being executed by the executive bodies, administrative bodies like tax officers and stakeholders. The law is yet to be on floor. So if I say this scheme have come, it is for knowledge purpose. But when it is custom duty, when it is custom duty, it is immediate. It is immediate. If it is a tax on share transactions, it's immediate. If it is sale of purchase and sale of property, suppose today in last the budget has come, it's not even act. If today I am selling a land building, whether it is 3 years or 2 years, because the day budget proposed, we are not sure about a land and building holding for 3 years or 2 years, a long term or short term, yes or no? 2 years after the budget we are able to know. But budget is a proposal, it's a bill. Bill, once it is get the assent of the president, it will come. Right? So when bill is presented, do you think the same thing, same day happened that will become a law? No. So when there is a tax rate like custom duty rate, it is immediately implemented. When it is a transaction, it is normally same day. Same day it is implemented. Immediately it is ascended by the president after 10 days or 15 days. When the GST Council decision for GST law, it sometimes partially it is implemented, and sometimes it is 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, and sometimes 2 years. So my entire thing to say that when this law implemented, GST have something else, custom have something else, income tax have something else. So finance bill and GST council meetings are very different. So in that way, whenever we go through anything in media or something, this thing changes. So this is now costlier, this is now cheaper, this is now easy, this is going to happen. When? That when date depends on the fine print of the law and the implementation schedule of that. With that, I'm closing my small deliberations. So question answer, I will be happy to interact. Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful insights, sir. Now we are delighted to have respected Father Rahul Kedas and Professor Ramnath sir among us.
Now, let us welcome Mr. Gyana Mohanty to give his views on the Union Budget 2024. Sir, we would love to hear from you about the implementation of budget in the manufacturing sector.
Thank you. Dear Tarunji, Neshika, dignitaries, other dignitaries who are here, and dear students. The previous lecture, you had a lot of insights into the budget. He is an expert. I am no expert in budget. I will tell you my experience. This will be more of a story related, so relax. There is no heavy matter in my talk. First of all, I will start with a story. Has any of you read a book called The Elephant Catches by Bhubaneswar? It's a very good book. You know who is Bhubaneswar? Yes. One of the founders of Mindtree. Here is an excellent book called Elephant Catches. There is a particular incident, practical incident, which he has narrated. That time Mr. Bhatt was in Europe. Mindtree was working for a software company or company for which they were doing software services. So they used to give them small work, they used to work. Then that particular company worked at RFQ for a big project. And unfortunately, they did not give the RFQ to Mindtree. Then Subrat Bakshi sought an appointment and he went and met the CEO and he told him a simple, small story. He told, look, you have a dog in your house and you have a cat. The dog is very loyal to you. It goes with you when you go for a morning walk. When you get up at evening, it reads a newspaper. It is always at your side, very alert to serve you. But your cat is always lying in the couch, doing nothing. And when it comes to feeding, you feed the cat. And you don't feed the dog with that much of the dog interest. So the CEO understood. That time some Subrata Bakshi was doing small work for them without much of profit. He gave them service. But while giving the benefit, it goes to the real companies. So from MSME perspective, I find this budget we are the dogs. And the cat are very big industries. I'll tell you the reason why. You see, everyone talks MSME is the backbone, MSME gives employment, generates employment and all that. But if you look at the classification of MSME, They have suddenly increased that to include many companies having very high turnover in MSME. There is nothing wrong in that. But MSME also has certain categories. If you see MSME making a turnover of 10 crores, they have a different sort of problem. MSME making a turnover of 25 crores, they have a different sort of problem than the MSME which is making 100 crores. Right or wrong? Because they are all in different levels of levels. So they are not in one level playing field. So in that case, what is this budget given to the MSME? They have given certain policies which apparently looks very good. But what about the implementability? I'll go one by one, and then the benefit that has been extended to MSMEs, and I'll tell you how difficult it is to really get that benefit. First one, for facilitating term loans to MSME to purchase machinery equipment without collateral of third party capital. This is one of the relief government has given. You know, today, this NBFC, they also provide equipment, like you see, like construction equipment. There are many companies, many NBFCs, Sundaram Finance, Tata Capital, everyone. They provide the equipment and they don't ask for collateral. They ask for margin. They provide you the equipment. That is already existing. I mean, most of the people are availing that facility. Even banks give you term loan, banks give you finance equipment. They take that 25%. So this particular facility, what has been extended by government, doesn't really specify. They say without collateral. Fine. It doesn't say who is going to implement it. The banks. And how it is going to be implemented. They understand that without collateral, they will finance up to 100 crores. But it is not here. And implementation of things is equally vital than only making a provision. That is first. So we are not sure how they are going to give finance improvement, whether with margin, whether the margin will be treated as a collateral or against real assets as collateral. So that is not very clear. Because the existing way how we get finance is, there are companies who take the equipment as a collateral. And a margin, of course, they keep a margin, they finance the rest, we keep 25%, and 75% is finance. And then that particular equipment is collateral. I think this is somewhat like that. Without collateral means what? Without collateral means anonymity. So that is not very clear on how this is going to be implemented, how government guarantee is going to be effective in organizing this funding. Then public sector banks will bring in-house capabilities to access MSME credit instead of relying on external. Now, clean take how it is being implemented is, let us say I am an MSME. So how my assets? There are rating agencies, CRISIL, ICRA, they rate us, they make us rating double A, triple A and all that, or minus B or something like that. On that basis, the banks assess us and they fix the interest rate or the way they will finance. That was the rate. Now they say that external assessment will not be done. The banks will they will also take a lead in developing or getting developed a new credit assessment model based on the scoring data provided. That the banks will start having their own model of assessment. Now, the experience is that whether this model of assessment will be universal to all banks or each bank will have a separate model of assessment. Let us say I am going to Bank of Baroda today. They have a software rating as A minus. I am going to another bank. They say, no, you are not A minus. You are something different. Whether that is going to be uniform or each bank has it, but at least earlier, we knew ICRA or CRISIL, they have a particular model. So they are professional rating. But here, there is no clarity about it. So how does it benefit the MSMEs? Then credit support to MSME during stress period. MSME unit, which is 10, 25 crores, is always stressed. Most of the time it is stressed. So, facilitating continuation of bank into MSME during the stress period by bringing the specially mentioned account stage. What is special mentioned account stage? Let us say I am an MSME. I am supposed to pay my interest in time. I have not been able to pay my interest. So the bank stays for 3 months and then they declare me the NPA. Once I am an NPA, my credit is sufficient. No one will touch me. You will have to leave that bank and go somewhere, no one will touch me. So these 3 months, that is when I am in a special mention account category. Credit availability will be supported through a guarantee from the government promote fund. Which is that fund? Who the guarantee will be given to who? This part of the implementation project, they intend to do it. I mean, they will support during that time. Let us say I have defaulted by 50 lakhs. With the government guarantee, I am able to organize the fund, I give 50 lakhs to the bank, and then I am out of the danger of becoming an NPA. Correct? Then, how does the guarantee come from the government? Where does the money come from? We do not know about it. I tell you, there is already existing scheme called CGTMSC. That is a central government guarantee scheme that MSMEs get credit without giving any collateral. Honestly speaking, let me tell you, the banks were in the 20s with having that commercial banks are not interested. Why? Because as I interacted with people, who is the government? When will our bank get the guarantee money? Let us say MSME default. How do we recover this money? And because there is no such assessment that how this is being implemented, so there is a hesitation to finance it. That is our practical experience. So in the guarantee scheme, that they will protect you when you are in a special mention category has to be really clarified. Otherwise, every year in budgets they increase this, they keep on telling new ideas, but it is not practically getting implemented. And accountability of the implementation of policies has not been very effective in case of MSME. Mudra loan is a good thing. I mean, that is a small trader. You have taken loan of 10 lakhs and you have been good in payment and repayment. You are eligible for 20 lakhs. This is a beneficial scheme for very, very small traders, small account holders, small business people. Then another thing is trades. Any of you know about trades platform? It is, M1 exchange trades. There, the MSMEs do the bill discounting. And how this mechanism works is, see, big industry houses or corporate houses, they are registered with trades, and MSMEs can also have to register with trades. Now, let us say I am working for Indian Oil. I am supplying them LPG cylinders. I have a bill of 50 lakhs. Now, what happens by the time I get my payment? It is almost 30 days or 45 days. What happens once the bill is accepted? Then Indian Oil will give the bill in trades. Now, what trades does? It floats the bill for discounting, and the banks participate to discount that bill. Once the highest bidder, let us say I have a bill of 20 lakhs. So they will calculate that well for 45 days of payment will come. This will be my rate of interest. So I can give you 19 lakhs, 50 or 95,000. Another person says I will 90 lakhs, 17,000. The highest bidder is allowed to is successful in that way. So what happens? As a MSME enterprise, the trade bill is discounted and I get 19 lakhs, 95,000, and that particular date of settlement of the bill, the company, oil company or Indian Oil, he pays the bank. So that way I get my finances are not locked up. That is the trades platform and it operates that way. Now what they have done? They are saying that trade platform from 500 crore to 200, if there is a company of 500 crore minimum, then he can be on the buyer side. Now they have reached 250 crore, thereby bringing many people into the trade platform. So it will so happen, the benefit is also from the buyer. Let us say he offered 90 days credit term. That is for 90 days he doesn't have to pay the investment. He will pay the interest for 90 days. So that is the benefit both for the seller and the buyer. So what they have said is they have increased, they have reduced the turnover for people to become buyers. Earlier it was 500 crore, now this company having 250 crore turnover can become a buyer and come to the trade platform, take the advantage of getting credit. This is an indirect way of getting credit for 90 days or whatever period they say, and of course they pay a little bit of more interest on that. So they don't have to give out their cash. And MSME's benefit is they also don't have to wait. They get their money immediately so they can reinvest it. So this is a welcome. But small MSMEs find it very difficult to get themselves, the procedure is very long. To get themselves extended trades, they really need handholding in this particular form to get extended. And also what happens, many companies, they do, big companies or buyers, they don't get registered. So even if they are registered, it doesn't make any difference. Unless they are registered, they cannot get their fee discounted. Then another thing, they are opening city branches in MSME cluster. This is a very good proposal. Why I tell you, city small industry development plan is very aggressive in tackling to the MSMEs. We have a city, I think, unfortunately, Mr. Pradyumna Das, the other speaker who was with DCM city, I know him personally, is not here. But city in Bhubaneswar is very aggressive. It must be aggressive in other places. And they really give at a rate of interest which commercial banks will not be able to give to their SMEs. That is our experience. So increasing number of banks in city is a very welcome proposal. Then they have financial sources 50 multi-product food irrigation unit in the MSME sector will be provided. Food irrigation unit is a process. Let us say you have some food item. Let us say perishable item. So there is a process of irrigating that. That means giving it a radiation, very low amount of radiation, so that it spreads like nucleus. So this is a technology developed all over the world. Bharat has also developed it. So they are trying to set up food irradiation units all over at many places, many hubs, so that the people who are dealing with food products, or fresh food products, they can irradiate it and store it for a longer time. This will also benefit all the MSMEs who are working in the food sector. This is a benefit. E-commerce export hub will be set up in public and private partnership mode. These hubs under similar category and logistics will facilitate trade and export delivery services on the market. It's good MSME, the MSMEs who are trying to export, it's a benefit for them. Internship in top companies. We talked a lot of money in competitive education sector and loans and all that. I'll ask you a question. First tell me, how many of you are engineers? So I see, pretty large number. You have all done engineering, then you have come from management. Well, knowledge is not bad. Remember the dialogue in 3 Idiots, when is assessing Suhas. Said, "Are you engineering here, management, banking, nobody commission like." You see, the pitiable condition in this country is we are talking about education. I am an engineer by profession. Now I do not like to be called as an engineer. You know why? Because people working in mines factory as an operator, 4 years after their service, I become a degree engineer. I say, what's the procedure? No procedure. Go into ITA, you get a certificate. Don't have to go to college. Go into a diploma, you get a diploma. Without going to the college, working in my company all the time. Then go to a degree college. Then get admission. There are many degree colleges. You get a degree. Now that man comes with a degree, recognized degree. He can sit with you and do management So the whole system of privatization of education has landed us in creating people with degrees who do not qualify to have the degree. Right or wrong? I may say, but this is the reality. They are also engineers. And you people who have graduated from good institutions are also engineers. So pumping money into the education system will not only suffice, it needs regulation. Suppose, let us say today, you are talking of internship. You have a very bad experience with internship. Not with, I mean, not with, but people from the ITS. They also have that internship program. The question is, internship, as I perceive, should be there for every student who has graduated, the commerce, the arts, the engineering. That should be an internship of minimum period of 1 year, which is a practice in Japan. Every student who comes out of it has a degree or some sort of qualification is mandated to do internship. By that he gets the working experience. Without that, you may have how much of degree you want. You will learn when you join a company. You will learn your real work at that company when you are working. Because all that you read will not be required when you are becoming an expert in a particular field. Let us say, I am talking of engineering. Let us say mechanical engineering. We have gas turbine engineering, we have refrigeration, we have automobile. We have so many things. Are you expert in everything? If I am going into automobiles, I am specialized in automobiles. Things gradually it goes out of mind. Correct. So what it says that I have been trained in the profession. Now my working profession is the place I have to be trained. Right. So internship is very important. But how seriously internship is being taken? There is actually no way to ascertain that the internship has been effective. Because you have the internship somewhere. You go for a job. They will not ask any certificate where you have interned. If that is not required, let us say welder. Welder has a certificate. If it doesn't do real welding, what will you produce? Whatever you produce will fail. If you weld a vehicle, it will break down on the way. Have you learned this profession properly? That is the purpose of internship. As long as you are working in a particular company or particular subject, you have to learn the tricks of it. But internship, government of course cannot implement everything at it. They have done well in providing internship. But the way of it has to be implemented has to be something different, not the way it is going on now. And as MSMEs, we love to have interns. Love to have interns because interns also boost our production. They also contribute to our production. That is one. Another thing is they have planned for a lot of industrial parks. What sort of industrial parks? They want to partner with state and private sector by using town planning schemes. They want to open industrial parks with plug and play type. Plug and play. What is plug and play? I'll tell you what actually happens for a person who wants to start an industry. First, what you need for an industry? Land, electricity, and then finance for the machine and stuff. Finance is a very important factor, and then a market. Correct? By the time a person comes and buys land, let us say one person wants to become an entrepreneur, you have got 25 lakhs in hand. Suppose you go and buy land which costs you 12 or 13 lakhs. By the time you set up something, all your money is exhausted. So it has been thought, and from MSME sector to our industry association, we have also addressing the government, that we don't do it that way. You make industrial parks, you make sheds, completely plug and play, right? As an entrepreneur, give it to him a grant. So you take a rent of 20 or 30 or 40,000 rupees. At least I am left with the rest of the money as working capital. Let us say I am an entrepreneur. I want to try out. Maybe I am successful, I am not successful. If I have to experiment with my business model for 3 years, what I can do is, I will pay the rent, I will experiment it. Suppose this is not good enough, I will leave it, I will try for some other job. Here, what happens? You have a 25 lakhs in pocket, you have got the land, you have done construction, everything, all your money is exhausted, and you don't have money for the working capital. So, there's a big possibility that you are going to pay the rent. So, this was a big necessity which probably government has thought about. Probably demand from the industry association, plug and play type facilities they want to give, so that whatever money I have with me to become an entrepreneur as for investment, that is not wasted in creating the infrastructure. So this is a very welcome policy. Then they have thought of rental housing with dormitory type accommodations. See, I'll tell you in Bhubaneswar specifically what has happened. In 80s, the industrial estates came up, like Manchester Industrial Estate and other industrial estates. What happened? People were allotted land at a very low cost for industrial purpose. People took the land. They set up some industry, the usual thing, what happens? First, the money comes in the business. So they paid. Now, they are all holding to that land, doing nothing. So this particular industrial estate has practically become an estate of godowns. Cement godown, this godown, this no industrial activity. Later on, what happens? Now this is in the center of Bhubaneswar. Town has expanded. Now there are no more industrial estates available. Now industry has been taken 30-40 kilometers away from Bhubaneswar. Let us say I want to set up a new unit. They tell me you go to Noida. There is land available there. When I go there, what are the problems? One, my people have to travel in that place because everyone wants a place where education facility is there, medical facility for his family, medical facility is there, entertainment is there. If they will not go and stay in the development. So I cannot get good people. Let us say I want to get some good people from Chennai or Punjab or some place. They are resistant on the donation, especially about them. Why? Because without facilities, without accommodation, without facilities, without proper amenities, people will not come. Even workers will not come. So one good thing, at least the workers have done, they are a rental housing and dormitory. Housing is a very big problem to house industrial workers. What do you create that house? Industry cannot create because they don't have land. So they find out in the local places where it is available now. But this available, if this industrial park were taking off, they can put some rental housing. Then a company can take 10 or 20 houses, one or two dormitories and keep them working. This was also a very big necessity. That they are trying to address. Then there are critical mineral mission. I mean, in that they are trying to say that critical minerals for domestic production, recycling of critical mineral, overseas acquisition of critical mineral assets. They are trying to finance that. Well, that is a necessity for many industries, semiconductor industries, defense industries. These critical minerals, there are many critical minerals which are not available here. We may have steel, aluminum, chromite, but there are critical minerals which are not available with us. Maybe government will finance, MSME to go and recycle or produce domestically. Then other digital infrastructure, integrated platform. These are all actually these are not directly gives revenue or gives benefit, monetary benefit to the companies. What we were looking for, I'll tell you, look what is happening. Government, after BJP has come, they have done one good thing. That is that they have adopted a scheme for direct benefit transfer. You understand what is direct benefit transfer? Like, let us say that government says that, well, if you are buying an agricultural equipment, you will get 40% subsidy, 30% subsidy. Now, what earlier it used to be that subsidy money is to come, go to the panchayat, from the panchayat to the farmer. Now, what government of India is doing is that, look, a farmer has buys an equipment, he pays 100 rupees, so 40 rupees goes to his bank account directly. That is why direct benefit transfer, it doesn't go to any higher. So this is a big benefit. If government wants to give some benefit, they can directly make that benefit reach the user without going to any hierarchy. Now they say that MSME is a backward. Fine, MSME is a backward. What advantages? These are policy decisions, these are implementable, not implementable, other agencies are involved. But I will just, my own thought, and share my own thought. Let us say, I am an MSME, I am producing, I am selling a thing for 100 rupees. For that I am buying material for 80 rupees. 20 rupees is the value addition, my labor, my input, my everything, my electricity, everything, 20 rupees. Now what, how much GST do I pay? I pay for 100 rupees, correct? How do I pay the GST? I return. Immediately it comes, you put it, money goes, and then we settle. If government is really wanted to give a direct benefit transfer to the NSME, what they could have said, well, you have taken 80 rupees input credit that you give it. For the 20 rupees that you have done the value addition, for which they are taking a GST of 3 rupees 60 paisa, they could have said in that GST quota, well, if you are an MSME, if you are Udyam, do one thing, you don't pay GST, you pay 9%. So that 9% of selling directly comes to the MSME immediately, that month. It doesn't go, that is not a direct benefit transfer. That could have been more like putting more money in the hands of MSME, easing their problems. That has not been deliberated, that has not been done. See, if you want to give benefit, let us say you want to give a benefit of 30 or 40,000 crores depending on the MSME. This money can be utilized by the MSME immediately. So that could have been one of the ways how MSMEs would have been given some financial benefit immediately. Similarly in taxation, income tax. Companies, MSME, whether it is a 10 crore company or a 100 crore company or a multi-billion company, corporate tax is 30%. We also pay that much on our profits, they also pay that much. So we are all at par, it should not happen because the real stress is in MSME sectors. So that way, direct benefit, nothing has, which could have been done, has not been done. Whatever has been done, some parts of the budget are, to my assessment, very difficult to implement. Government has thought, very good thought, but how to implement it? For implementation of it, a very major role is to get the grants. Because the mentality of the people in the land is always like this. For 100 or 10 crores of loan, so if I find 5 MSMEs giving 2 crores each, so I have to struggle 5 times to recover that. If I did that, 50 crores to one will become million. So I have to run one man, convince him and get the money. This is the ground reality. So there is a dedication to implement a policy. So government has order, but implementability is the question. Let us see what is happening in the would have not once, would not be involving any other person. That benefit would have come to the MSMEs. Then another thing is technology. See, today, let us say I want to do something on the aerospace. Okay. I get hand-holding in technology. Maybe now today we have a lot of companies like a lot of PSUs like VITO, ISO, and other PRC, and they are hand-holding. But there are certain critical technology maybe we have to take it from outside or whatever it is. So that should have been for benefit for the technology handling. Or, for example, let us use an industrial stainless. What happens is, Jindal Stainless produces stainless steel sheets. It goes to Gujarat. At Gujarat, it is made into pipe, whatever we see, and it comes here and it's sold all over the. All Odisha gets it mostly from Gujarat. Now, the real difficulty, let us say I am here in Odisha, I want to set up the pipe manufacturing unit. You know what is the state of affairs? The person at Gujarat gets the steel at a cheaper cost. They transport it there, they give him at cheaper cost. And here in Odisha, they have justification. They say, look, they are buying 5,000 tons. You are asking me 50 tons. So what do you discount I have to pass on that? This is practically how this can be. I mean, if you want to have certain technological paths wherein the MSME of that particular case can get the benefit, for that, as a CSR, big corporates should have the responsibility of developing and handling. Develop it into a path, get the products done through them, buy it out, because you are a big entity, you can buy it and sell it. That means you have created a market for the machine, you have made raw material available to them. Other things, finance and infrastructure, the government will look after, the banks will look after. So that particular item, this could have been a CSR, and this, big companies, I think they spend 2% of their income they supposed to. And what do they do in CSR? You will be surprised. In CSR, first of all, they will do what? The ITIs or engineering colleges, they give a lab to grow. You are supposed to do it for people who are below the poverty line or people who are needy. Why are you dumping the way doing the job of what government is supposed to do? Education is a matter of government. When was education in private sector? Never. Earlier, in our time, there were no private schools, no private engineering colleges. There were government engineering colleges and schools of the government of Odisha schools. Now, the government of Odisha schools tell the students, everyone goes to English medium school. What medium school, there are no students. So government has forward education in reality, which is government has no business to be in business. PSU. Government has no business to be in activity except health, education and administration. The government has no other responsibilities, in my opinion. So, promoting industries and promoting MSMEs will create jobs indirectly and directly. Supporting MSMEs is the need of the hour. MSMEs do not want support in terms of a lot of benefits we will pass on. Support to produce things and sell it. Find the right market, right things available in right time. Finance, raw material, of course manpower skilling is a very big subject. Properly skilled manpower, then MSME will perform and government will get revenues in taxes. So the thing that has been ailing the MSMEs is what I have been telling you all this time of our practical experience. But my advice to you is don't get disturbed by being that MSMEs are only the MSMEs also quite doing well if at all you want to spend the someday. You start as MSc law, so there is still a way of hope. But government through this budgets, through industry, through inflation in industry, could have done much better. Maybe subsequent budgets, they may try to improve, take opinion and do it. But all these things that have been done are favorable to MSMEs, but implementation is to be seen how they do it. And
now the floor is open for Q&A session. Good evening, everybody. My name is Bhubaneswar, XIM MBA, batch of 2024-2026. So my question requires both expertise and experience. So it's open to all the panelists. Looking at the historical data, the practical tensions and recent budget, for a long-term hedging purpose in gold, can you elaborate on three instruments, namely physical gold, sovereign gold bonds, and gold ETFs?
It's a very interesting question, and it always depends upon personal preference also, because gold personally there is an emotion attached, and sovereign bonds just like this is 10 years completed, so it is going to be liquidated. So gold ETF having some difficulty in liquidity sometimes because there are many ETFs are running. So that choice is required. But in long term, sovereign bond and if you say 1, 2, 3 for my personal view, the physical gold is still coming number one. The only thing is that the purity part, people not able to get the right kind of gold. But for investment purpose, ETF is good, but right kind of ETF we have to choose because many companies are ETF is not tradable, sometimes proper pricing are not coming. A sovereign bond is optional because you not get everything.
look, I have very little expertise on gold. Basically, I deal with steel. If you ask me anything on steel or steel pricing or steel, etc., I can tell you. I have no idea what to do.
Good evening, everyone. I am Neeraj Vardesi from XIM MBA BM 2024-26. So my question is basically about corporate tax. So I wanted to know your opinion on how government thinks of corporate tax, as we have been reducing corporate tax from couple of years, and the rationale what government gives is to incentivize the companies to invest in India. But as we see, it is very like it's not working. The majority of companies are moving to the ASEAN nations, which provides very at very cheaper rate and very low corporate tax as such. But at the same time, we are also losing on a lot of revenues while reducing, like making the tax cut. So, what is your opinion? Like, what is rationale of government in taking such decision?
See, this is basically a balancing. So there will always a right wing and a left wing of that dispute. In fact, this tax rate is still competitive to many other countries and also not competitive to many other places. So it not only tax only the criteria, the environment, the economy, the consumption, the future stability of political factors also very important. So it always depends upon, but definitely the rate which did take adding the revenue, because it's still in when the tax rate is 25%. What happens? I'm very little side, the lower side, the private limited companies I will tell you, the individual tax rate is still at 30%, and the company rate is lower. So what happens, today? The people are tracking more profit in the company, and the company is accumulating more money. That is also one of the aspects in this. So this is purely a balancing what company is taking tax. Like this time they have enhanced the capital gain long term and short term tax rate. Because whenever the money is coming, they accordingly they are tracking that benefit. And at the same time, when the industry requires, they also drop down the tax rate. So bringing the business to other country or not coming to our country, it's also depends, because there are some countries who are taking a higher tax rate also. So it all depends on balancing. So personal view is very difficult to say. There are some benefit coming to some countries, some companies, and some companies are not. Some sectors are getting benefit, some sectors are not.
So I'll want to answer one part of the question: why companies are shifting to asset management? See, I'll tell you, if you 30 years back, why so many companies came to China? How has the Chinese economy grown? It is because of the investment that has come from all European and American companies. Why it came to China? There are two or three major reasons. One, ease of doing business. Like China made land available at cheaper cost and benefits given at a lightning speed, and implementability of any decision because they are an African country. That benefits China has, and availability of cheap labor. Now, if you talk of our country, we have all those negative aspects. Our implementability is very slow. We are a democracy. Today, government wants to implement something, then again, the opposition will not allow it. So it has got its own benefit and merits and demerits. Then labor, cheap and efficient labor. Our labor laws. So these are also very major factors why people are preferring ASEAN countries. Like when garment manufacturing left, or many manufacturing left China, why they didn't come to India? They all went to Vietnam. The basic Vietnam doesn't have so much of population or abundant of labor, but somehow or other they found it convenient because there is a lot of ease of doing business. That is also a significant factor other than the corporate taxes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm present party of XIM game batch of 24-26. So, as Tarun sir mentioned that the reduction of the criteria to mention asset as long term from 3 years to 2 years, it facilitates the flow of money for the economy for the government. But on the other hand, doesn't it discourage the retail investors in investing into the assets as the investment benefit is removed and they have to pay more taxes?
See, in the first part, I have differentiated between capital gain and income tax. That is basically asset-based taxation, which is normally holding period is there. And normal income tax is what you earn. So capital gain normally is not as a normal earning. For example, if a company is dealing with only shares as a percentage sale, for him it will not be a capital gain or long-term or short-term. It will be simply a business income. But normally every company is having some investment in other shares in order. And that is not the prime objective. So mind to say, whatever capital is coming, it is normally doesn't come as a primary business. It will always be a long-term business or a side business or a long-term activity or it is not in regular activity. That is first part. So encouraging or discouraging somebody in investment point or earning point is not there, because if somebody has a property, you want to sell out for this money, you will definitely sell out. You will not wait, because earning you will decide whatever earning you want to earn or not, whether you want to go for that job or not, you want to do business or not. But in property shares, it always triggered by not by you, it is the market you have to sell it out. You have got a right price, you want to sell it out. So market normally drives or your need drives capital gain transactions. That is number one. Number two, the long-term, short-term, the 3 years, 2 years period we have got. Only point is that the rotation of money, because somebody wants to sell, but because of long-term he is waiting, because he is waiting to get a tax benefit after 3 years. So your holding period is 3 years. Now they bring it to 2 years. So what will happen? You will immediately, because you got a benefit of long-term, you will immediately jump into transaction. So what will happen? The transaction will be 3 years, transaction will come to 2 years. Earlier tax rate 20%, now it is 12.5%. So indexing benefits, there is a loss. But ultimately you get a money earlier. So the cash flow is faster in time. That is the point. There is a losers. There are some people who have the property of old property, which they got the indexation benefit. Their tax liability will be higher in this issue. Definitely. Thank you, sir.
Due to handling time constraints, we will be taking only one more question.
Good evening, everyone. This is Mr. Jay Gupta, student of XIM MBA PM batch of 2024-26. My question is to Gyananjan sir. It is about whether the product-linked incentives, specifically in the field of electronics, have had a significant impact in generating an environment or secondary market for MSMEs. It's purely from a qualitative point of view, and my notions are simply that even in the past, during Rajiv Gandhi's reign, computers and laptops were started being assembled in India. Right now, smartphones are being assembled in India. As I understand, it could be a limited understanding of mine, that chip manufacturing and chip design are the most important value addition factors of any electronic. So, how has the government made it possible for MSMEs to become a secondary market for these kind of manufacturing? Also, I seek your opinion on whether it is really adding strong value or is it easily replaceable, given the fact that any other country, if it gives a product linked incentive, the industry might shift. I hope I was clear in my question.
Yes, your question is a good question. I tell you what. Do you know the second big money you spend on import is on what? It is electronics. First was oil, electronics was number two. Today it is reversed. India spends maximum money in importing electronic goods. So it was very necessary that India should start manufacturing electronics. But there is one problem. People are talking of semiconductors. Semiconductors fab units. How many people are manufacturing semiconductors? Taiwan is very big. TSMC or whatever it is. Now China is trying to come up. I'll give you a data. You know, Taiwan, this particular industry of making wafers, it is so energy intensive and so much water it consumes. It is, and so much of technology is involved that, in my opinion, India should not focus on fab units. India should focus on assembly, trial, packaging, those things which Tata sector started. That is required. We are going into manufacturing smartphones, screens and all that. That is required. Of course, we are always good at in designing, because a lot of this design of chips is done in India, outsourced to India. So manufacturing should have come much earlier. We are already late. And PLIs are definitely welcome to attract people who have the technologies, and definitely a downstream MSMEs will benefit. MSMEs will benefit, like I tell you. Let us say a smartphone, that particular cover at the back, plastic. The company which is making a assembling smartphone, you won't manufacture, also is from outside. Similarly, if you look at automobiles, do you think that Mahindra, what amount of outsourcing they do? Tires, yes, outsourcing. Even the harness, the electricals, that are done in very small companies. Yes, more than benefiting MSMEs, giving PLI benefits and bringing electronics manufacturing to India is very essential, and it should have been done much before. We are already late there. Let us say in the geopolitical situation today, we have, let's say we have flying Rafales. Today, because of some geopolitical reasons, they say that we are not supplying players. As America has been saying, we are doing it for Pakistan. Pakistan can never, however it wants, can never talk against America because all their F-16s will be grounded. They cannot afford that. So it is very essential that we should have Tejas and speak different variations of Tejas. We should have our AMCA program. We should be self-reliant. So PLIs, or because government is giving so much of trust to defense manufacturing, promoting defense manufacturing, and telling that offset law, that any company will sell to India has to make 60 or 70% of the component in India, that is very much required. Otherwise, we will always be controlled by some other country in the world. So, PLI, very critical niche technology industry, is much beneficial to the country. Although, let us say automobile, the number of MSME units it creates will not be created by a very high industry, but that is even essential for the industry.
At the end of the Q&A session here, we would like to invite Ramana sir on the stage to share some insights.
After listening to a chartered accountant of a stature of and experienced entrepreneur, professor, cannot first of all summarize what they have said, and I was just listening to that. Budget is such a vast document. As expected of a chartered accountant, Mr. Rual got into the nitty-gritty of not only the lines, but also in between lines. My first director, Father D'Souza, once told me, we had in those days a Sweeney curve was a chartered accountant. So once Father D'Souza called me, and I started my teaching by teaching taxation here. He said that I have come across chartered accountant to read lines only. I want somebody who can read lines and also in between lines. I think Mr. Agarwal demonstrated his ability not only to read the lines or to read out the lines to you, but also explain in between lines. Thank you for that. Mr. Mahanti, of course, vast experience. I think from KV School. I was asking our students whether Gyano Babu is from KV1. I don't know whether Gyano Babu is aware. I'm sure KV1. I'm a product of KV1, and I'm very happy that we used to call him Gyano Bhai. I'm very happy that Gyano Bhai came to XIM and a very successful entrepreneur. And just like any other successful entrepreneur, the modesty was visible when he said that I will not speak some heavy stuff. But actually, every line that Gyano Bhai you were explaining demystified budget, which is very relevant for our students. And we hope that Tarun, Ruwan, and Gyano's visits to our exam will continue. But since XIM has asked me to say a few things, I will not dare to get into what both our speakers have mentioned, but I will mention about one or two points which are dear to my own heart. I always, whenever I get opportunity, I always start by saying that budget is not just a financial statement. It's not just an income expenditure statement. Budget is a strategy document having financial implications. So through budget, governments at central and the state convey a very important strategy to the various stakeholders. And all of us start planning our own strategy, individuals, entrepreneurs, consultants. We plan our own strategy, keeping in mind the larger strategy of the country. So when you see the larger strategy of the country, something message has to come. I'm always a critic of some of the missing links in the budget. So on that, I would like to put two I's. Two I's, alphabet I's, not these I's. Alphabet I's. For me, two I's are very important in budget. One is the investment, other is the interest. But both these investments and interest are directly coming from another term called debt. And debt is a very important factor. A bit unconventional debt. Our country, for years together, is driven by managing the fiscal deficit. That means fiscal deficit, which is a reflection of debt. Reduce fiscal deficit. So our debt to GDP ratio is around 80%. But as an accounting person, as a finance person, working particularly in small industries, I say that debt by default is not bad. But if the debt is used for payment of interest, it's bad. But if the debt is used for creating the other eye, investment, is definitely not bad. Right from my days of my commerce days and com days, we were taking credit that we are managing our debt to GDP ratio. And at that time, I also used to say that Japan, America, many advanced countries, debt to GDP ratio was well above 100%. 30 years have passed. They're still advanced and they are not still. So there is nothing wrong in my understanding. If Professor Asif would have been there, would have killed him. Professor Asif also advises governments about managing fiscal deficit. And we are openly critiquing each other. I said, let us not manage the debt amount, but let us manage the use of the debt. So therefore, two I's, if you are able to get the debt to improve investments, and if the investment is good, the return on investment is greater than I, which all of you know, you create economic surplus. And as Mr. Manti has been saying, MSMEs, the small and large industries, are actually the engines of the growth. So therefore, a fiscal deficit-driven budgets are actually not making sense in my conventional sense. The same is happening in Orissa also. Orissa is a revenue surplus state. We know that in principle, state can have a deficit budget if the deficit is because of capex. Capex is a future cash flow. So therefore, the strategy on which we are preparing budget is actually should need to be questioned by youngsters like you. And this is not my personal view. This is based on readings and others. Several people, based on, I'm influenced by some of the classical economists who question the reduction of debt. The last one, because Mr. Agarwal has spent a lot of time on tax, This is also one thing you have to reflect on. Besides the fantastic way of explaining to us about the principles of calculations, the provisions of GST and all, there's a larger aspect there also. Based on which there is a question. Tax to GDP ratio, which we are claiming is around 12% or whatever, some percent. The concern that I have that a significant part of the tax, more than 60%, is indirect tax. And indirect tax doesn't make a distinction between the rich and poor. The direct tax is on income. Indirect tax is on expenditure. Indirect tax contributes a significant part of the tax, which is worrisome. Because particularly in India, where inequality is very high, indirect taxes increases inequality. And you know better, I don't want to roll out data, that inequality in India is one of the worst in the world as a whole. You see the inequality index. So I don't mind if tax to GDP ratio goes down or goes up, but what worries me is the reduction of direct tax to GDP, which somebody has asked, there will be further reducing it. So there is a concern there. For example, the capital gain tax, as Mr. Agarwal has mentioned, what is the problem in making capital gain tax as a part of our normal income? Then the rich man, if he earns capital gain tax, will pay 30%. A poor man earns capital gain, will be exempted. But no, it's not happening like that. I'm worried. I'm worried because of some of our advice, myself, my street vendors started investing money in the stock market. I'm worried. Buyback of share is taxable. Capital gain is taxable. So the person at the bottom of the pyramid will be affected. So therefore I always try to see not the lines of the budget, as Father D'Souza has mentioned. For your information, Father D'Souza is the first director and Padma Shri, only Jesuit to win Padma Shri for education. So for me, the spirit, the substance over the form was important. And we can go on day long from Jesuit. But otherwise, it was wonderful listening to both Sri Mahandi and Mr. Agarwal. I request all of you to join me to
Now we would like to invite Ratna sir on the stage for felicitation. As a token of our gratitude, we would like to honor our esteemed guests with a memento, and I request them to accept this token of our delight and respect. Now we would like to invite Ms. Nimeshika ma'am on the stage for the felicitation.
you are the host. I don't know whether with the hostess.
We, on behalf of the entire team and the student fraternity, would like to offer our heartfelt gratitude to our eminent speakers, Sri Tarun Agrawal and Mr. Kana Mohanty and Ramana sir, who spared time from their busy schedule to grace the budget Conclave 2024, sponsored by PMP Cuttack Circle. Our sincere gratitude to Ms. Nimeshika Natarajan for making this event a success. Now, I would like to invite the coordinator of XIM, Shesh, to continue the vote of thanks.
We would also like to thank Student Council, Career Advisory Services, Illuminatics, the media and PR cell of XIM, Excellence, for their constant support and invaluable services for this event. We are also grateful to the support staff. Without them, this event would not have been possible. Our sincere thanks and gratitude to all the participants here who have chosen to be present with us and attended the conclave with zeal, and the students have also shown great participation in terms of the quality of questions which they have asked. I thank them very much from XIM. Now, the audience must remain seated while the guest takes leave. Thank you. All the XIM members, please come to the stage.